Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Try to get everything situated and wait for a few people to pop on here. My name is Lindsay Sager. I'll be teaching our mala making class this morning, and I know a few of you have purchased kits from me. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we were able to get you the gemstones that you want to use to make your mala today. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be joining me with your own materials. I'm waiting for a few people to pop on. Oh, I'm getting messages. Sorry, guys. Yes. All right. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for Rising Lights Retreats to invite me to be part of their event. A huge shout out to Liza for including me in this. Really excited that we can still all be connected, even though there's a lot going on in the world right now, and we can't be together in person at festivals and at live classes, and so it's really great to be with you all on here. So I'm just waiting for a few people to join. Okay. Technical difficulties. I guess that's just part of it, right? All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit while people are getting their stuff together. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about malas and the history of malas, because it's pretty interesting, I find. Mala is a tool, essentially. Yes, it's also a necklace. It's a piece of jewelry, if you choose to wear it as that. But it's also been used since somewhere around the 4th to 6th century. For a very long time, people have used malas in meditation, in prayer. Oh, we got one person on here. And they can be very, very helpful in your practice, no matter what your religion is, or your beliefs, or your background. It doesn't matter. It's just a personal tool to help you to calm your mind and tap in to your own energy sources and just bring a sense of calm. And at the end, I'll kind of go over more about how you can actually use your mala in meditation, choosing mantras, and the symbolism of all of that. So while we're waiting on people to hop on here, oh, good morning, hello. Good morning, it's so good to be here. Let's start talking a little bit about what materials you need. If you hadn't seen the material list and you're just kind of getting all of that together now, you're going to need 108 beads, and you can use, like, traditionally, some of the most simple malas are made with sandalwood, or just whatever your simplest wooden bead is. When you date back to, like, the Tibetan monks, they didn't like to have anything of value, so they would just have very simple beads. You can use any kind of bead, really. It doesn't matter. It's a personal thing. In my craft, I absolutely love using gemstones because they have their own unique properties, their own metaphysical healing and energy properties, and I find all of that very fascinating, and it just kind of adds to the energy that you're putting in. So, as you're getting your materials together, it kind of helps to have some kind of tray or something, so your beads aren't rolling off all over the place. You can use like a little dish or cup to put your beads in. Just on a practical note, makes it a lot more enjoyable of experience if you're not chasing your beads down the whole time. I have some kind of serving platter. It was my grandmother's. I love it because it came with these little, I think they're actually cup holders, I'm not even sure, but they're perfect for holding beads. So whatever you want, gonna get all your stones together. And then, so you have 108 smaller beads. Typically you're gonna have 6 or 8 millimeter beads. You don't want them too tiny, or it can be really frustrating. You might have trouble getting the string through the hole. So you want a good size, but you probably don't want something too clunky either, or your necklace is going to be like crazy long. 108 large beads could be, you know, the world's biggest mala. So, and then you also are going to need a guru bead or a focal bead, whatever you want to call it. It is the large bead at the end. It's the beginning, it's the end. It lets you know when you have come all the way around to the end of your mala. So, so you need those, and then you're also going to need some kind of cording. You can use hemp, you can use like a waxed cotton cord. I have like a beading cording that is like a nylon base. I find that it's super strong. I just buy it at like my local craft store, local, you know, bead store. And I've been using those for mine, and I find that it's incredibly strong. So whatever it is, you want something strong but also not too thick, or your beads aren't going to fit onto it. Can't make a mala if you can't put the beads on it. So, alright, we've got a few people on here now. Alright. So now that you've got all your materials together, I don't know, maybe give you a little more history on malas. So malas have been used, like I was saying, for centuries in Hinduism and Buddhism, and all different spans of religions, all different cultures, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with a Catholic rosary. It is a very similar concept, probably all originated from the same idea. Good morning! All originated from the same idea, and they all have 108 beads. And if you actually look up why a mala has 108 beads, it's really interesting because there's so many different reasons from all different sources, all different walks of life. It's pretty fascinating. One of my favorite reasons is just the whole concept of repetition. An old saying that if you do something 100 times, you're going to remember it. And then 8 is like the number of infinity, the number of you know, just remembering and eternity, and so that's just like an extra solidifying number. Also the distance. Hold on, I don't want to mess this up. I have some notes. It's also a very divisive number. It can be divided by a lot of different other numbers, which makes it really good when you're creating patterns, so you don't have a lot of uneven numbers. And it's also awesome that the diameter of the sun, hold on, I don't want to mess this up. The diameter of the sun is 108 times that of the earth. So there's all these crazy, like, you know, reasons why we use 108, but in the end, it's just a part of the tradition, and it's meant to be, you know, a sacred number. It's also 108 energy points in the body, according to Ayurvedic medicine. Kind of cool. So, yay! All right, we have some people on here. Okay, so let's get started. So now that you have your beads in little dishes so they don't roll away, so you have 108 beads, you have your guru bead for your end piece. It can either be a large stone, it can be a pendant, it can be whatever you want to use. And in a traditional mala, you'll often see a tassel at the end as well. That's also optional. Occasionally I'll use like a little, you know, charm to go underneath the stone, but a lot of times, you know, I just like having a pendant on there. And then, so to start, if you have a kit, you already have a length of string that's cut for you. It's always better to have too much cording than not enough, because you can't really add cording. You definitely want to start with more. So, I think I'm going to go with this color. Typically you want about 5 or 6 feet of cording. I don't really use an exact measurement. I kind of just know that the length of my arms is enough. And then you can use any kind of scissors to cut the cording. Malas are great because you don't need a lot of materials. You really just need, you know, beads and string and
whatever scissors you got lying around, and one larger bead. So you can really make it out of anything. So to start, you're going to tie, you want to leave a little bit of cording. I think I'm going to angle this down a little more so you guys can see the stones. Is everyone able to see and hear all right? I guess I could have asked that in the very beginning, but no one said anything, so it must be fine. So in your cording, you want to leave a couple of inches at the end, at the tail, and you're going to make your first knot. So you're just going to do a simple overhand knot. Don't overthink it too much. Just around and through, and then you're going to pull that tight. So that is your first knot. It's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches from the end here. And then, so if you're only using one kind of bead, obviously you don't have to think so much about this. You can just start stringing. But if you have a variety of different stones and you wanted to incorporate several different stones or different colors, you might want to think about what kind of pattern you want to do. Or if you don't want to do any kind of pattern, that's totally fine. I just call that like intuitive beading. If you're just kind of going with like, ooh, okay, this one and then this one and then oh, I like this, and kind of just going with the flow of things. So you can do whatever you would like, but if you did get a kit and you have equal numbers of beads, just make sure your pattern is equal numbers throughout the pattern, because you don't want to get all to the end and then realize, oh my gosh, I only have two more of that. Okay, hi Heather, I see your comment. Yes, the pendant is already on yours. The way that yours is set up, that's going to mark the center, and you're actually going to start beading from your pendant. You're going to put your first bead on next to the pendant, tie your knot, and then go one side and do the same exact thing on the other side. So, does that make sense? I see your comment on there. So your pendant is already on there. I just wanted to not create confusion with that. So if your pendant's already on there, you just start beading from your pendant. You want to get it as close to your pendant and then tie your knot and then continue beading from there. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, and then we'll go from there. But everyone else, you want to start beading from the end, and then we want to put our first bead on the longer side, because we're going to be beading in that direction. So today I've chosen some Indian agate. It's a nice mixture of greens and earth tones. It just kind of calling to me this morning. And then we also have some green aventurine and some smoky quartz. And I'm just going to do a pattern. I think I'm going to do 3 of this and then 3 of these alternating. Alright, okay. Thanks, guys. Alright, so I'm going to start with the Indian agate. So whatever bead you want to go first. Now keep in mind, if you're putting your pendant, if you have a pendant that goes on the string in the middle, meaning you have like a small loop, if I created a pendant for you, which pretty much all the kits other than Heather's had a pendant with a loop on it, you're going to put that in the middle. So we're going to bead 54, and then we're going to put our pendant on, and then we're going to bead the other 54, and then we're going to tie a knot to create the necklace. If you are making this at home and you have a bead that has a hole that is large enough and you can put 2 threads through, this is actually going to be, your 2 tails are going to come together to be the end of the necklace. So multiple different ways you can do this. There really is no wrong way. As long as you end up with a mala necklace in the end, The true method is the fact that you have a knot in between every bead. And the purpose of that is it spaces out all of the beads. So when you are using it for mantras, meditation, prayer, whatever it is you want to use it for, they're spaced out enough that it makes it easy for you to count them. And I'll demonstrate that at the end. But so when you create your second knot,
you're going to try to get it as close to the bead as possible. So right now you have a knot on this side, your bead, and then a knot on the other side. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you guys again, and it takes some practice and some getting used to get the knot close to the bead, but once you string it on, you make your knot as close to the bead as you can, right? Okay, so over and through, and then instead of just, pulling it willy-nilly, like hold the knot and pull the tail so the knot slides close to the bead. So that might take a little finagling, definitely takes some practice to get faster at this. The first time I made a mala necklace, I think it took me like, I don't know, close to 4 hours or something, so hopefully it won't take you that long, but it might, and this whole thing is a meditative process, obviously. This class, going live today, probably going to only be on here for like 45 minutes to an hour, so you'll be continuing your class after. You'll be continuing making your mala, and I really like to just use it like at the end of the day when I get home, sit down, create a pattern, pull together some stones that I feel are calling to me, and then I just start beading. And it's such a meditative process, just to sit and clear your mind and just do. It's just enough concentration and just enough focus that's required to do this that it turns into a meditative process. So we'll just keep going along with our beads. So we go overhand, through, and then slide the knot up against the bead. So really, like, once you've got this pattern down, it's repetition, repetition, repetition. So you see, I don't know how clear that is, but you see how there's a bead or a knot in between every single bead. And like I was saying, that's so when you are actually using your mala for meditation, it makes it easier. Having that space makes it easier to run the beads through your finger as you count. And yoga tradition, usually you choose a mantra or something to focus on, and you repeat that as you read, as you move each bead through your fingers, or like as a Catholic rosary, they use it for prayer. You repeat your prayer, however, whatever you want to use it for. Or if you just want to wear it as a necklace because it's going to be beautiful, that's awesome too. And it's got all that energy, all that time, everything that you put into it. It's a work of your own creativity. So I think I have decided to do 3 of the Indian agate, an aventurine, a smoky quartz, and an aventurine. So a nice little pop of brighter color there. For those that are beading along, does anyone have any questions? Or concerns? So, creating this pattern. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the gemstones themselves. I think they're absolutely fascinating. Oh, here we go. What kind of thread am I using? I am using, this is a beading thread that I actually got from my local craft supply, jewelry supply store. It is a type of nylon thread. I like it because it is very strong. I have like this necklace I made probably 2 years ago, and I wear it every day, and it holds up very well. The knots themselves in between the bead actually make the necklace itself stronger. So that's another reason why the knots are created. But you can use any kind of thread you want. I know some people, if you want to use all natural materials, you might want to use a waxed cotton cord. The waxed cotton cord is nice because with that wax coating, you don't have to worry about the ends fraying as much. But the nylon is nice too. It really doesn't, it's not very clear, but it really doesn't get frayed. And if it ever does, like sometimes if you're trying to bead with a bead with a really small hole, sometimes it will get frayed, which is why everyone that I sent a kit to, I gave you lots of extra cording. That way, if you have any issues, you just take your scissors and cut off a little bit at the end there so that the fraying stops. And if you ever have any issue, you can just do that throughout. Hey guys, thanks for hopping on. So it's definitely a slower process, but like I said, it's meant to be a process. The whole point is to slow you down, allow you to be creative, allow you to clear your mind. Do we have any other questions so far? Not really sure. Let's see. So these stones that I chose this morning, because yes, I was still deciding which ones I wanted to use as I woke up this morning, and sometimes with gemstones, you just feel drawn to different ones, and some people, a lot of information out there on the different healing properties, the different metaphysical properties of gemstones themselves. I just think it's incredible how something like this is formed in the earth under pressure, and how there can be so many different colors, different varieties, and they're all completely unique and completely different, and these natural colors that are created, it's just beautiful, right? So every gemstone also is attached to a different chakra. Typically it has to do with the elements, the colors, which determine which chakra they are connected to. Today, everything I chose was some shade of green or brown. And greens are connected to the heart chakra. Typically, smoky quartz and other darker stones are going to be connected to the root chakra. So sometimes you're just feeling like you're needing some grounding, some community, some reassurance. You may be drawn to these stones, and you may be feeling like these chakras need a little alignment, healing, awakening, whatever it is that you're looking for. And we're going through some crazy stuff in the world right now, so it makes sense that I would wake up and feel like needing a little grounding and a little community. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see, for each mala, what length is your thread? So
Typically, you're going to need about 3 times as much length as the finished necklace. So, most malas, depending on the size of the stone, are going to be anywhere from 22 to 32 inches in length. Keep in mind, every mala is a continuous circle, so it has to be able to fit, over your head. Obviously, there's no clasp involved. It's just a continuous piece. So to start, I usually start with about 5 to 6 feet in length of cording. I don't really measure it out that much. I was showing them earlier. I kind of just, it's about the length of what I can reach, which is going to be about 5.5 feet. Sometimes I give myself a little extra because, as I was saying earlier, it's always better to have too much than too little. Because you can't, if you were to run out of cording, like, yes, you could try to tie more on that, but it would just weaken your overall necklace. You really want it to be as much of a continuous piece as possible, so you really don't want to run out of cording. So just give yourself a little bit extra. Let's see, Lindsay, are you tying knots between each bead? Yes. So for those that are just hopping on, a mala necklace is going to have a knot in between each bead, and like I was saying, the first time I did this, it took me a very long time, and sometimes it's nice to sit down, work on it for an hour or so, and then, give it a break and come back. I make so many of them now that, it's kind of like you just do it without thinking. So if I need to explain better, please, just yell at me. But you're just doing a simple overhand knot. So you're putting your bead on the end. You're tying a knot. And then you're going to pull that tail while holding the knot, so you can slide the knot right up next to the bead. Definitely helps to have fingernails. I use my forefinger and my thumbnail to slide that knot right up against there. And I also periodically will pull on the necklace just to make sure those knots are nice and tight. And when you get a little bit on there, you start to feel like the way that the knots move, or the way that the necklace itself moves, it has a very unique feel to it. If the beads were right next to each other, it just feels totally different. It has like this fluidity to it, which is exactly why this method was created. So, like I was saying, when you're using it for a mantra, meditation, or prayer, you're going and you're moving each bead through your fingers as you repeat your mantra. Whatever that is, whatever you're needing that day, as a reminder to yourself, or if you want to use it, as more of a prayer rosary, that is fine. As I was explaining earlier, the mala necklace has been around for a very long time. It pops up in all different cultures, all different religions, and it's just used as a tool to help calm your mind and focus you, often in prayer and meditation. So as I continue to go, we start to get a little bit of length there. Let's see if we have any other questions on here. Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to those as well. Please let me know if you have any questions. See if I have any more fun facts for you guys. So I was talking about how, the reasoning for 108 beads and how that's considered a sacred number in many different religions, and how mathematically it's considered a very unique number because of
how many numbers it can be divided by, how in astronomy the distance from the Earth to the Sun and the diameter of the Earth is 108, and how all of that is interconnected. In Ayurveda, there are 108 marmas, or energy points in the body. And let's see if I can find anything else. So if you are creating your mala from one of the kits that I sent out and you have a pendant, you are going to bead half of the necklace first, and then you're going to add your pendant, and then you're going to bead the other half of the necklace, and then you're going to tie it together at the end. I've just found that when you add a pendant that way, you don't want your knot to be over your pendant, because if that were to ever come undone, you don't want to lose your pendant, where if it was on the back, they tend to be more secure, and if it were to come undone, you wouldn't lose anything and you could repair it versus potentially losing, part of your necklace. But in the most traditional method of mala making, you would bead all 108 first, and then remember how we left some length at the end here? Well, the length that you have on the other side, you would tie those together, run both strings through your guru bead. Like, for example, I have this fire agate here that has a large enough hole, and you could actually put both strings through there, and then you tie the knot underneath your bead. If you were to choose to use a tassel, and you wanted to have a tassel at the end, you would actually be tying the tassel at the very bottom of the bead. The whole point is the symbolism of a full circle. In a mala necklace, you always have a beginning, you have the process or the continuation, and you have the end. And it is symbolic, as any circular thing is, as a symbol of life and how we're all connected. Gotta pay attention to my pattern. Let's see what happens. Does anyone have any other questions? Please let me know if you do. Like I said, we won't be able to make the full mala during the live class today, but I wanted to give you a good visual of how you're going to make your mala and the purpose of it and the symbolism behind it. So if I've left anything out or you have any specific questions, please speak up. See if I missed anything. Thank you all so much for hopping on here. This is awesome. Can't wait so we can all have classes in person again, but I'm very thankful that we have the technology and the resources to be able to come together and do this virtually. I want to thank Rising Light again and Liza for inviting me to be a part of this.
very grateful for any opportunity to share something that I love and am passionate about, but also something that I find very helpful. You know, there's endless evidence that meditation is an incredible tool for your mind. It's healing to your body, and whatever your personal journey is with that, or if you have never tried it, I definitely encourage you to take some time to sit alone in a quiet place and try out meditation, because I know that it's helped me in so many ways and continues to help me, especially if you ever have if you're having feelings of, you know, anxiety and need to just shift your perspective or focus on something, you know, other than what's going on in your life, because it gets very easy to get, you know, sucked into just thinking about what's immediately in front of you, and definitely have to keep everything in perspective. And we're all in this together. We're all on this planet, just trying to do the best we can. Let's keep supporting each other and loving each other and looking out for each other. Alright, so I'm obviously not at 54 beads yet, but I do want to do a little demonstration for those that have a pendant they would want to add. If you have any kind of pendant, like if I made a kit for you and you have a pendant that has a bail, so like for example this little crystal I wrapped and it just has a tiny little loop at the top, or if you were going to use something, let's see, you know, if you're going to use a stone and you wanted to put it on sideways, you could do that as well. I mean, traditionally your guru bead is something that hangs down from the necklace, but it's your mala, so you can do whatever you would like. Let me scroll back to the bottom. Which gemstones for anxiety? Some part of me wants to just say all of them. In many ways, they can all help with anxiety, but it depends on why you're anxious. If you're feeling that you're needing some grounding in your life, which a lot of people, their anxiety stems from, you know, not having enough grounding, you might want some grounding stones. One of the stones I chose today, smoky quartz, is a wonderful grounding stone. Those are typically going to be your darker colors, your earthy tones, but also stones like amethyst that are more connected to your crown and third eye can be wonderful for anxiety. Or if you just are feeling very overwhelmed and that's the source of your anxiety, you can choose, you know, some blues. Turquoise is very calming. It really depends on where your anxiety is stemming from, but gemstones in general, I find for my own anxiety are very soothing. You know, just like I was saying earlier, just having something so beautiful that was formed by the earth really gives you a sense of humbling and perspective. Oh yes, moss agate. Definitely. Moss agate is wonderful for the heart chakra, and it also is very calming. And then someone's asking, I missed the beginning, how long is your cord? About
about 5 to 6 feet. And that's probably overkill, but it's always better to have too much than too little. So give yourself plenty of space, but it's going to be about, you want about 3 times as much cording as the length of your finished necklace. And most malas, like this is 6mm stones. It's going to be about the same length as this longer one that I'm wearing. I do occasionally do some mini ones, but we didn't do any kits with minis because these are very, very tiny beads, and they can be a little frustrating until you get the hang of tying all of these tiny little knots. Yes, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I love all these questions. I love that all these people are tuning in. This is a great day to start a Sunday morning, especially after this week. Lots crazy stuff going on in the world, and I think focusing on community, meditation, working together is really the best thing we can do. I also missed the beginning. Are you on a lot? I like hearing. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I get kind of nervous going live on here. Honestly, the anxiety starts to get to me, but then you just start beating, and it all kind of fades away. Just take a deep breath and know that, you know, everybody here is here because they're interested in making a mala as well, and you are helping them do that. So that's what I try to focus on when I get anxious about going live on here. Oh, that's awesome. We have someone from Scotland. Very cool. The internet is amazing. I mean, the fact that we can be connected from all over the world, it's pretty sweet. Not gonna lie. So if you are putting your pendant in the middle, just keep an eye, you know, like I'm just talking and beading, and keep an eye on your length. I periodically go through and count. So I have 30 stones right now. So if I was going to do, put my pendant in the middle, you know, I would need another 14 stones because I want to do half and half. 108 is 54 on each side. Thank you guys so much. I love seeing everyone commenting on here and joining in. And the great thing is this live video is going to be, I'll repost this on my art page at Lightstone Creative. I'll post this on my personal page. This is going to be in Rising Lights, obviously in Rising Lights community. Probably eventually put it on my YouTube page as well. I'm still working on putting that together. But it was really fun. I definitely want to do more live classes like this, and hopefully sometime we'll be able to do classes in person again. Was supposed to be at Orange Blossom Jamboree a couple weeks ago, teaching this class to you guys in person, but of course we're living in a world right now where that's not possible, and this is the next best thing. So I'm so grateful for you guys hopping on here. I don't know what we're at. Oh, it's about noon now, so probably start wrapping up pretty soon. If you guys have any questions, I'm gonna go over how to end it if you do want to use a guru bead at the end. In the traditional method of putting both strands through, I am going to demonstrate that in a second. Thank you guys so much. All the comments are so kind. Makes me really happy. I woke up this morning not feeling 100%, so I was a little like, oh, okay, I hope that doesn't come across in the video, but you guys are so supportive. Thank you.
So I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes just to ask any questions on here. If you are interested in gemstones, I highly recommend when it's available. I love getting my gemstones, you know, from local stores, always trying to, you know, support each other in the art community and the small business community. You know, you have to really hustle to make it out there. So, you know, support your local friends and your art friends. If any of you guys are interested in following me on Instagram, where I talk about malas and I share what I'm making, and I do custom work as well. I am on Instagram at lightstone.creative. I'll put that in the comments afterwards. But so is there a particular number of beads you use in the pattern? So the only thing that matters at the end of a mala is that you're using 108 beads for the necklace itself, and that you have one larger bead or pendant or tassel or whatever it is you want to be your guru bead, or focal bead, which is telling you where the beginning and end is. So when you actually are meditating, you start with your guru bead in hand, and you know that that is where you start. So when you start repeating your mantra or repeating your prayer, you're going to move the stones through your hand, one stone at a time, and you're going to repeat it every time. And it's just a method to clear your mind, to help you engage in meditation, to repeat a mantra if you know, are needing to refocus your mind. So you just move it through your fingers, and then when you get all the way to the end of 108, you will know, because you will get back to your guru bead. So you can do this with your eyes closed, so you can really focus and go inward. And there's a lot, there's a whole lot of thought put into the design of a mala necklace. There's a whole lot of symbolism. You know, I was talking a little bit earlier about how 108 is considered to be a sacred number in many, many, many different cultures and religions, and how the numbers are symbolic. And if you literally just Google why are there 108 beads in a mala, you will get probably 108 different answers, because there are so many. And I went over a lot of those at the beginning, but I just love the idea of you know, of repetition, and really solidifying what it is that your intentions are, because that's so important. You know, we live in a world where everything is just crazy, happening fast around you all the time, and sometimes your brain feels like it's being pulled in 15 different directions, and to slow down and focus is, you know, exactly what you know, we all need, and brings a lot of clarity and lifts a lot of that mental fog, and definitely helps shift your perspective. So let's see. Thank you. Oh, you are so welcome, guys. 23 in Scotland? That sounds very cold, unless that's Celsius. And then I take that back. So I do want to demonstrate how to end this. If you have a large guru bead and you want to put both ends through. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that now, even though I'm obviously not at the end. This is only about 35 beads, but just for the sake of being able to demonstrate. For example, when you get to the end of your necklace, you're going to take your guru bead, and you can either go ahead and tie a knot here, adds a little more security, and then put your threads through. A lot of thread here still. So were to use this as my guru bead, it has a large hole. You can put one thread through. Try not to get tangled. And then put your other one through. Well, I thought this stone was large enough, but maybe it's not. Okay, I might have to use a different one for demonstration. Let's see if I have any. And that's actually why I ended up using, putting the pendant in the center a lot, is because a lot of gemstones aren't drilled with a large enough hole to put both strands through, so it starts to make that a little bit difficult. Gemstones can be very fragile, and when they're being drilled, that's a very dangerous process for them to go through, so they usually try to keep the holes as small as possible, depending on the hardness of the stone. Do we have any other questions? Let's see. I'm in the garden making jewelry. That sounds wonderful. What a beautiful place to be. I actually originally set all this up on my front patio, but now the sun, I can see, is like beating down, so I'm glad that I moved it inside. I'm actually in Florida, so it's pretty hot. Alright, so we've got a winner. This stone was actually large enough to fit both threads through. So if you put both threads through and you slide your guru bead up against that. Now imagine that this is obviously much, much longer. That would be how your guru bead would be attached. Now if you choose to use a tassel, you would loop your tassel over one side of the strand, and then you would tie your knot. If you chose to just put the bead and that's it, you can tie your knot underneath of it. You can either do an overhand knot like we've been doing, or you can double it up and go through that way. Or if it has a really large hole, you might actually need to put another tiny little bead or something to help hold that so it doesn't slide off the end. So just for the sake of showing you how this would hang at the finish, if I were to tie it, and if you were to have tassels hanging down, they would be hanging down with the rest of your thread, and the end of the necklace would look like that. So let's see, I got a couple more questions coming in. I see paws and a nose. Yes, that's my girl. Kira, come here. You want to come say hi? Come here. This is Kira. You sit. That's my girl. Yeah, she helps me pick out all the stones, and yeah, she always has to be right in your way, like all pets. They love you so much, they gotta be part of it. And yep, they always want to help. Oh, we got someone in Rome. Oh, in Florida. I'm on the Gulf Coast, just south of Clearwater. I'm in a small town called Indian Rocks Beach. It's beautiful little town. Starting to get a little more crowded, but can't blame people. So I've never seen this live. Awesome. That's exciting. Definitely excited to be sharing something that you don't see every day. Really glad to be here. Oh, sweet. We got someone in Miami. Oh, thank you guys so much. Now, let's see. I think we're about at an hour right now. Yeah, she is a lab mix. She's mixed with Great Pyrenees.
It's my little rescue baby. So if you guys have any other questions, please don't hesitate. I'll be checking this bead. Okay, how do you secure the guru bead? So the guru bead, you're going to secure just by tying a knot underneath it, or more like 3 knots underneath it. I always just knot the heck out of it, because I mean the last thing you want is for it to come apart. So if you're putting the guru bead on through both ends, underneath that, you can just tie a knot, tie another knot, tie another knot. I just tie as many, tie as many knots as feels secure, pull them really tight, and then sometimes you can even put a little drop of glue. Don't put anything heat activated like super glue, because if you're using nylon thread, it can actually damage the integrity of your thread and break it. But you can use, I have like a beading glue that's specific for jewelry, that's like industrial strength. But I mean, you could even put a drop of Elmer's glue on there. I mean, anything to help that not to hold and the fray, keep it from fraying. But I mean, I've made a lot of malas, and I've never had one come completely apart. So just put lots of tight knots in there and you'll be good. And then if you are adding a pendant halfway through and then making the rest of it, when you get to the end, you're going to have 2 ends that look like this, obviously, and then you left yourself a little bit of tail for this reason, because you're going to attach those by creating your last knot. And then again, you can just do a very simple knot and make like 3 or 4 knots, so you know that it's super secure. And you want to just pull it like as tight as you can up against the bead. The whole thing is, at the end you want to have a continuous circle. You can wear it as a necklace. You can wrap it several times around your wrist and wear it as a bracelet. A clear nail varnish, yes, that will also work. Also, if you're using a hemp cording and you're having trouble with it fraying, you can also put like a little drop of glue on the end, or a little bit of nail varnish, a little nail polish on the end, and that will help your ends to keep from fraying. Let's see. So yeah, if anybody is interested, you can contact me either on here on Facebook Messenger, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram again is at lightstone.creative. I'll put that in the comments as soon as we end here, and then you can reach out to me on there if you want me to build a kit for you. I have lots of beads to choose from. You can pretty much pick anything you want, build your own kit, and then the price will just be based on whichever stones you choose. And then I can supply, your cording, and you can choose your guru bead, and you can refer back to this video. I also have a written instruction paper that I can send along with your kit, because I know this is a lot. If you're working, you might not want to sit down and watch an hour-long video. You might just want to hit bullet points for a little reminder. So if you're interested in any of those things, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, or reach out to Rising Light and she'll redirect you to me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and yeah, don't hesitate with any questions or comments, and I appreciate you guys so much. Have a wonderful Sunday, and thank you again to Rising Light, and thank you again to Liza for inviting me to be on here. All right, bye.